What's the dumbest reason someone refused to believe you? I told flight attendants their plane was about to catch fire, and they thought I was trying to scam a refund. So, I'm Maya, 22, mechanical engineering student at University of Houston. My dad worked on planes for 30 years before he retired. Every weekend growing up, we'd sit in his garage looking at engine manuals and talking about how aircraft systems work. I know this stuff inside and out. Last month, I'm flying from Houston to Denver for my cousin's wedding. Basic Southwest flight, nothing fancy. I always get window seats because I love watching the engines during takeoff. Call me a nerd, whatever. We're about 15 minutes into the flight when I notice something weird. I'm sitting right over the left wing, and there's this vibration that doesn't feel right. Not the normal engine hum you expect. This is different, irregular. Then I see it. A thin trail of grayish smoke coming from somewhere near the engine housing. My stomach drops. Dad always told me, trust your instincts with aircraft. If something looks wrong, it probably is wrong. I unbuckle my seatbelt and walk up to the nearest flight attendant. She's maybe mid-30s, blonde hair, and a tight bun. Name tag says Jennifer. Excuse me, I say, trying to stay calm. I think there might be an issue with the left engine. There's smoke coming from it and an unusual vibration. Jennifer gives me this patronizing smile. Oh, honey, that's just normal condensation. Happens all the time. Please return to your seat. No, I'm serious. I study aircraft engines. This isn't condensation. The vibration pattern is wrong, too. She laughs a little. Ma'am, I've been flying for 8 years. I think I know what normal looks like. Please sit down. I try again. Look, my dad was an aircraft mechanic for 3 decades. I know what I'm looking at. Can you just check with the pilots? Now, she's getting annoyed. Miss, we can't call the cockpit every time a passenger gets nervous. Everything is fine. Another attendant walks over. Older guy. Probably been doing this forever. What's the problem here? Jennifer rolls her eyes. She thinks there's something wrong with the engine. The guy looks at me like I'm completely insane. Let me guess. First time flying? No, I fly all the time. I'm telling you, there's smoke and irregular vibrations from the left engine. I study mechanical engineering. He crosses his arms. And I suppose you want us to turn the plane around. Maybe get a free flight out of this. I can't believe what I'm hearing. I don't want anything free. I want you to check if our plane is safe. A third attendant comes over. This one's younger, probably new. The older guy explains the situation. We got another one trying to get a refund with fake emergency claims. I'm not trying to get a refund. My voice is getting louder now. Other passengers are starting to stare. The head steward appears. Tall, stern-looked woman with silver hair. Ma'am, you need to return to your seat immediately or we'll consider this disruptive behavior. Please just look out the window. You can see the smoke trail. What I see is a passenger trying to cause panic for attention. Sit down now. I'm getting desperate. My name is Maya Rodriguez. My dad is Frank Rodriguez, retired from United Airlines maintenance. Call them. Verify my credentials. Something is wrong with this plane. The head steward sighs dramatically. Miss Rodriguez, we've dealt with this scam before. People claim expertise they don't have, make false reports, then demand compensation. When we investigate, it's not happening today. I walk back to my seat, defeated, but I keep watching that engine. The smoke is getting thicker. The vibration is getting worse. I pull out my phone and start recording through the window. 10 minutes later, there's a loud clunk sound from the left side of the plane. Everyone feels it. Passengers start looking around nervously. The pilot's voice comes over the intercom immediately. Ladies and gentlemen, we're experiencing a minor mechanical issue and will be making an emergency landing in Dallas. Please remain calm and follow crew instructions. The same flight attendants who dismissed me are now running around checking seat belts and preparing for emergency landing procedures. Jennifer won't even make eye contact with me. We land hard but safely at Dallas Love Field. Fire trucks are waiting on the runway. Through my window, I watch mechanics and hazmat suits approach our plane. After an hour on the tarmac, they let us off. I overhear one mechanic talking to another. Loose fastener caused a small electrical fire in the engine housing. If it had gone another 20 minutes, could have been catastrophic. We're stuck in Dallas overnight. The airline puts us up in a cheap hotel near the airport. Story 2. I turned 34. My birthday invite said, dinner starts at 6 o'clock. No gifts, just presents. At 6:45, I realized no one was coming. At 7:12 p.m., my sister texted, too far to drive for just a birthday. My mom added, maybe next weekend. We're exhausted. I did not argue. I just logged into the foundation account I created 2 years ago. Updated every authorized name but mine. Then sent a one-line email. As of today, I paused all support. At midnight, my sister called 12 times. Then, a push notification lit up my phone, and what it said changed my next move entirely. I turned 34. My birthday invite said, dinner starts at 6 o'clock. No gifts, just presents. At 6:45, I realized no one was coming. I lit the last tea light and stepped back, eyeing the table one final time. The ceramic plates, white with gold rims, were a gift from my aunt who passed away last year. I only used them on special occasions. Tonight was supposed to be one of them. I'd made their favorite dishes. Mom loved my lemon-roasted chicken. My sister used to ask for my rosemary potatoes every time she had a breakup. My cousin Devin, I made that stupid spinach dip he always pretended not to like, but devoured in silence. At 6 p.m. sharp, I sat at the head of the table. I even wore a proper button-down, the kind that still had a dry cleaning tag on it. I poured myself a glass of wine, a soft Cabernet, earthy and warm. I wasn't expecting confetti or balloons. I didn't want a fuss. I just wanted presents. I didn't ask for gifts. I even wrote it on the invite. No gifts, just your presents. That was it. By 6:15, I started checking my phone. A few red receipts. A heart reaction to the invite. No. On my way. No. Stuck in traffic. Nothing. By 6:30, the food was cooling and my jaw was clenched tight. My stomach was twisting in that familiar way it always did before something disappointing. I'd been here before. Not this exact table, not this exact date, but the same silence, the same avoidance. Like they were allergic to effort. At 6:45, I finally accepted it. No one was coming. At 7:12, my phone buzzed. Too far to drive for just a birthday. My sister texted just like that. No sorry, no emoji, nothing. 12 minutes later, my mom chimed in. Maybe next weekend. We're exhausted. That was it. No one asked how I felt. No one cared that I'd spent my day scrubbing, baking, seasoning, setting a table with candles and memories. No one cared. It was my 34th birthday. I didn't argue. I didn't reply. I just stood there in my silent apartment and walked over to my laptop, logged into the foundation account I created 2 years ago, the one I quietly used to send money, pay off bills, cover emergencies. I deleted every authorized name but mine. Then I typed one line, simple, brutal, undeniable. As of today, I paused all support. At midnight, my phone started buzzing. My sister called once, then again, then 12 times total. But it was the push notification at 12:47 a.m. that made my hand freeze mid-sip. What it said changed everything. The push notification read, bank transfer declined. Insufficient authorization. Underneath was the name of the account, Martin Family Relief Foundation. Then the sender, Cheryl Martin, my mother. She had just tried to transfer $3,200. That same woman who couldn't drive so far for her son's birthday dinner. I sat down hard on the edge of the couch. The wine glass sloshing onto my pants, thought my hands were shaking from rage, not surprise. That was the moment the veil fully lifted. The house of cards collapsed. My role, my purpose in this family had always been the same. Provider, fixer, ghost. They didn't celebrate me. They depended on me. 2 years ago, when Dad's heart attack wiped out their savings, I was the one who stepped in. No questions. No lectures, just quietly created a fund under my name, linked it to my corporate account, and started funneling money every month. They called it the family buffer. They treated it like an ATM with emotional receipts. When Ella, my sister, lost her job for the 3rd time because she didn't vibe with corporate structure, I paid her rent. When my mother's car broke down on the way to her bridge club, I wired $600 in less than an hour. When my cousin Devin wanted to rebuild his credit, I co-signed a small loan. I've seen none of it back, not even a thank you card. And you know what's worse? They never asked how I was doing. Not once. Not when I worked 70-hour weeks to hit my KPIs and keep my role as senior project lead. Not when I canceled vacations to send them emergency transfers. Not when I started taking anxiety meds to fall asleep because I was so afraid someone would text need help at 2 a.m. again. I remember one moment, one exact moment that burned a hole in my memory. Last Thanksgiving, I couldn't make it home. Work emergency. I FaceTimed everyone from my empty office. Tray of Chinese takeout in front of me. They passed the phone around like a nuisance. Ayla waved with a wine glass in hand and said, "Workaholic vibes as always." I asked jokingly, "Did you guys save me a plate?" My mom laughed and said, "Martin, baby, you're not really a food person." That was it. That was my place. Useful, not loved, not seen. I replayed those memories while watching the transfer failure screen, then scrolled through the transaction history. My stomach turned. Isla had pulled $1,000 3 weeks ago, labeled professional development. That was the weekend. She posted bikini pics from Cancun with the caption, "Find me where the Wi-Fi and the vibes are rich." Devin withdrew $500 labeled car repair. He doesn't even own a car, but he does play poker at the casino down the interstate. My mom had set up a recurring grocery transfer, $320 every 2 weeks. It had gone out like clockwork since March. I paid more to feed my mother than she did to show up for me. And then it hit me. They hadn't forgotten my birthday. They had chosen not to come because they didn't need me to be happy. They needed me to be useful. And when I stopped being useful, I became disposable. I stood up and grabbed the printed copies of my bank statements. The ones I kept in a file folder labeled Family Trust. I had tracked every payment, every favor, every dollar bled out of my account in the name of love. Love isn't supposed to leave you hollow. At 10:03 a.m., I emailed each of them individually. No group message, no sugarcoating. The subject line was the same. Effective immediately, I wrote, "You've withdrawn more than money. You've drained my time, my energy, my joy. I gave without asking for thanks. I trusted without demanding receipts. And you took without limits, without guilt." Effective immediately. I withdraw too. There will be no more transfers, loans, consigns, or emergency funds. The foundation is closed. The ATM is offline. I'm no longer your financial plan. If you need something, ask each other or ask Google. Happy belated birthday. To me. Then I turned off my phone. I knew what would come next, and I was ready. At 6:58 a.m., my phone began buzzing on the nightstand. It was Isla. I let it ring. Then, Mom, 3 times in a row. I didn't touch it. By 7-Eleven. The voicemail inbox was full. My sister texted, "You can't be serious. You're just cutting us off." A second later, "This is actually sick, Martin. Like, emotionally sick." Then, "Mom, this is not how family works. We don't punish each other like this." The irony, the pure nuclear irony, because that's all they had done. Punish me for having boundaries. Punish me for existing outside of their expectations. I didn't reply. I got up, made coffee, poured oat milk in it, like I always do. My silence screamed louder than anything they had ever said, but silence didn't stop them. At 8:24 a.m., AITA showed up at my door. I saw her through the peephole, tapping her foot like a mother waiting to scold a child. I didn't open the door. She knocked again harder. I cracked it open just enough to look her dead in the eye. Her lips were already curled into a scowl. "You're really not going to let me in? I didn't invite you," I said calmly. She scoffed and crossed her arms. "You've lost your mind, Martin. Shutting off the foundation. Do you have any idea what that does?" "To us? You mean you?" I said, "You and Cancun and your digital detox retreats." She flinched. "Don't act like you're better than us just because you've got a decent job." "I was better than you," I said, "because I kept showing up. I paid your rent when your boss fired you for showing up late every week. I covered your health insurance when you skipped Cobra. I gave you every safety net you ever asked for, and you shredded it like a spoiled teenager." Her face hardened. "You said you wanted to help. You always said that doesn't mean I signed a lifetime contract to carry everyone's baggage." She took a breath, recalibrating. "You're overreacting. You're just upset about the birthday thing. Stop," I snapped. "You didn't forget. You decided it wasn't worth your time. That's the truth, right? Dinner was too far. Gas too expensive. Whatever excuse makes it easier for you to sleep." She bit her lip, but didn't deny it. "You've made your point," she hissed. "Congratulations. You hurt everyone just to feel powerful for once." I didn't blink. "No," I said. "I finally stopped hurting myself just to keep the illusion alive." I closed the door, didn't slam it. Closed it like a chapter, like a casket. 5 minutes later, my phone lit up again. "Mo, this is tearing the family apart. We just need to talk." I replied, "You had 34 years to talk. Now I listen to actions only." That's when the manipulation machine started spinning at full speed. 10:04 a.m. group chat named Family was created. Isla added, "You need to come together, not fall apart." Devin, "Bro, I have bills due today. Are you serious with this drama?" Isla, "You're punishing Riley too. She's just a kid. She loves you. Riley, my niece, my soft spot. It was a smart move, bringing her into it. But I knew the playbook. They had run it too many times. Guilt, pressure, deflection, repeat. I didn't respond. Then came the final blow. 11:42 a.m. private message from Mom. "Your father's heart can't handle this stress. If something happens to him, it'll be on you." I dropped my phone like it burned. They were still doing it. Still pulling the strings of guilt. Still trying to make my spine bend. But something inside me cracked. I picked the phone back up. I hit record, and I spoke into the mic with a voice I hadn't used before. "This is a message for my family. For every call you made, every guilt trip you launched, every time you ignored me until you needed something. I'm not angry. I'm done. Done being your bailout. Done being your backup plan. Done being the punching bag for your failures. You say this is tearing the family apart. News flash. There was no family. There was a bank with a heart and the bank. Inc. just closed. I owe you nothing. Not an explanation. Not a reply. Not another cent. Goodbye." I sent it to the group chat and left it. Then I left the chat entirely. That night, my phone rang again. I answered without a word. Isla's voice cracked through the line. Panicked. Martin, someone just froze my account. The landlord's threatening to evict me. What did you do? I said nothing. Are you even listening? You really going to let your family go homeless? Click. 2 hours later, a different number. Devin, this time you made your point, man. Can you just flip the support back on for this month? We'll figure it out after. I decided not to engage further. By midnight, they had tried calling 27 times. My apartment was silent, peaceful. I poured myself another glass of wine, turned on some jazz, and watched the city blink through the window. And for the first time in my adult life, I didn't feel needed. I felt free. The next morning, sunlight woke me. Not a vibrating phone, not a desperate email, not a ping from someone needing help. Just warm, golden silence. And in that silence, I noticed something strange. I didn't feel panic. I didn't feel guilt. I felt peace. Like my nervous system had finally powered down after years of red alert. But peace doesn't come easy when your life has been a non-stop emergency room for everyone else. For the first week, I kept checking my phone instinctively, expecting some, hey, quick thing, or can you VMO me? Even just a fake. How are you? Laced with an unspoken ask, but nothing came. Not from Mom, not from Ela, not even Devin. At first, I thought they were finally giving me space. I was wrong. They were regrouping because silence wasn't surrender. It was a tactic, a manipulative pause before the second wave, but I didn't wait around to brace for impact. I moved forward. That weekend, I drove out to the coast. I left my phone on airplane mode and sat for hours just watching the tide crash against the rocks. No thoughts, no family, just the sound of the ocean doing what it's done long before me and what it'll do long after. That night, I had my first full uninterrupted sleep in over a year, and in the days that followed, I began reclaiming everything they drained from me. I joined a gym again, started writing a short story that had been buried in my laptop since 2018, signed up for cooking classes, and maybe the boldest move, I applied to speak at a local TEDx event. My topic, emotional bankruptcy, how families drain us, and how we take ourselves back. But just as I started building this new version of myself, the past came knocking. A letter arrived in the mail. No return address. Inside a stiff piece of paper, typed, not handwritten. Martin, we all think you're being unreasonable. You overreacted. We were just trying to make ends meet. Family should help each other. You hurt everyone when you shut down the foundation. You made us feel small. We felt excluded. Is that what you wanted? Maybe you've forgotten where you came from. Think about that. Mom, no love, no apology, just shame in a font size 14. I fed it into the shredder without a blink. But then something unexpected happened. 3 days later, my doorman called up. There's a woman here asking for you. Says she's your cousin? Cousin? I hadn't seen Tiffany in over a decade. She was the other black sheep of the family, the girl with tattoos and blunt opinions, who had dared to call out my mother's hypocrisy during a Thanksgiving back in 2011 and was promptly exiled from all future gatherings. I hadn't heard from her since. Now she was standing in my lobby in combat boots and a motorcycle jacket, holding a file folder. Hey, Mart, she said when I stepped out. I'm out here to borrow money, I laughed. It was the first real laugh I'd had in weeks. She sat with me in my apartment for over an hour. We shared stories, venting, jokes, and then she slid the folder across the table. Inside were screenshots, emails, bank statements, Isla, Devin, even my mom. All of them had been double-dipping from the foundation. Not just pulling funds for emergencies, but billing reimbursements to a second account. Tiffany had discovered, while working at the accounting firm my cousin Devin once used, a shell account. Listed under Martin M. Family Trust, extended. It had my name on it, but I never created it. They did, and they used it to funnel an extra $28,000 over the last year without my consent. Tiffany had done the forensic, digging out of curiosity and revenge. "I've hated how they treated you," she said, "but this is criminal." I sat there, hands shaking. I wanted to feel rage, but what I felt was finality. This was the proof I didn't know I needed. They hadn't just used me. They'd stolen from me, lied to my face while smiling. Tiffany offered to help me press charges. She had contacts, legal advice, even knew an investigative journalist from college who would eat this story up. But I didn't want a courtroom. I wanted something cleaner. I opened my laptop, typed one sentence. "As of today, Martin is not responsible for debts incurred under fraudulent family authorization. Legal counsel has been retained. I BCC'd the family." Then I emailed the IRS quietly, anonymously with documentation. 2 weeks later, I got a voicemail from Isla, her voice trembling. "Martin, I were being audited. Someone reported us." Devon's freaking out. Mom's crying. "Please, was it you?" I deleted it and booked a weekend in Denver where I gave my TEDx talk to a room full of strangers who applauded like I just handed them their own key to liberation. I told them how I'd funded every lie, how I confused giving with loving, how I finally chose myself. When I walked off stage, a young woman in the front row stood and said, "Thank you." I didn't know I was allowed to stop. Neither did I until now. It's been just over 6 months. 6 months since I lit candles for a dinner no one came to. 6 months since my sister called my birthday too far to drive for. 6 months since my mother said they were exhausted only to try withdrawing over $3,000 that same night from the foundation I built in silence. 6 months since I said no more. And in that time, I have not spoken to any of them. Not Isla, not Mom, not Devon, but I've never heard from them so much. Group chats I left still buzz without me. Passive-aggressive voicemails, letters dripping with guilt and subtle threats, muted tears over the phone from Mom, angry DMs from Devon's girlfriend telling me I destroyed a family legacy and should be ashamed. The legacy? You mean the fraud account they created under my name and siphoned $28,000 from? Yeah, I dismantled what was built on guilt. And I'd do it again because I didn't just walk away from them. I walked toward myself for the first time in my adult life. I feel like I'm living in my own skin, not in some emotional uniform they dressed me in. The responsible one, the ATM, the martyr. You want closure? Here's what closure looks like. Layla's eviction notice became public record 2 months ago. Turns out her landlord didn't find her spiritual retreats and wellness blogs sufficient collateral for unpaid rent. She tried to reach out through a mutual friend. I didn't respond, but I sent a small Amazon package. Inside a budgeting book, a $0 gift card, and a handwritten note that simply said, "This is what real self-care looks like." Devon, last I heard, the IRS flagged his fake consulting write-offs and froze his accounts. I didn't press charges. The paper trail Tiffany gave me was enough to light a match under every corner he used to hide in. He sent me a 3-word email. "You happy now?" I replied with 2. Absolutely liberated. And Mom, she still sends those long letters, pages and pages, of poetic manipulation wrapped in phrases like, "I just wanted the best for everyone. You know, I love you," even if I didn't say it enough. You used to be so generous. She even sent one with an old childhood photo of me holding a Lego spaceship. Captioned, "Remember when you used to build things instead of breaking them?" I framed that photo not because I missed her, but because it reminded me that I used to create for joy, not obligation. Now I do again. The novel I buried for years is finally finished. It's called Dinner at 6, story of conditional love. My publisher said it made them cry, that it felt like a revolution disguised as a confession. And here's the twist. It's dedicated to two people. One, Melanie, Ila's ex-best friend. The woman I quietly sent $500 to years ago so she could escape an abusive relationship and who now lives in Portland with her wife and her daughter. She emailed me out of the blue saying that money saved my life. Your silence spoke louder than their noise to Riley, my niece, the only innocent soul in the wreckage. She sent me a letter on lined paper with a rainbow sticker on the envelope. I miss you. Mommy says you're not mad anymore, but she still cries. Will you ever come back? If I bake your favorite cookies, would that help? It gutted me, but I didn't go back. Instead, I mailed her a book, The Little Prince, with highlighted passages about taming, love, and responsibility. Inside, I wrote, I will always be here, just not always where you expect. You are not responsible for fixing grown-ups. You are free. I still send her birthday gifts anonymously. One day, if she grows into the kind of person who chooses truth over tradition, I'll tell her everything. As for me, I've built a new life. I don't check my bank account with fear. I don't wake up worried about who I forgot to save. I have boundaries now, not walls, but gates. Some people get in. People like Julia. Remember Julia? The social worker I met after my TEDx talk in Denver. She and I now share Saturday mornings, coffee dates, inside jokes, and therapy breakthroughs. She doesn't want anything from me but honesty. And when she says, "How are you?" I believe she wants the real answer. She was the first person to say, "You didn't break your family. You broke the system that was crushing you." And she was right. Because here's the thing, no one tells you. Sometimes healing looks like silence. Sometimes it looks like blocking a phone number. Sometimes it looks like saying no without explaining why. And sometimes it looks like lighting a match to the foundation they built in walking away as the smoke rises behind you. So to anyone reading this, to anyone who's ever been the silent giver, the backbone no one thanked, the birthday that everyone forgot, you are not cruel for stopping. You are not broken for saying enough. You are not selfish for surviving. I didn't lose my family. I lost their version of me, and I will never be that man.